Hi, I'm Nicole Roberts-Jones, and welcome to The Fierce Files. Now, what I know for sure is that one of life's greatest gifts will meet you when you go after your more. And so here is why I share with you thought-provoking insight and behind-the-curtain conversations with women who have reached the pinnacle of success because they went after their more. Now, I really want you to get this. One idea from these episodes can make a remarkable difference, not just in your career, but in your life. And I want to make sure you join the conversation in our Facebook group. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com. Now grab your pen and get ready for today's session of The Fierce Files. Hello and welcome to this episode of The Fierce Files. Now, for years, I held an online virtual summit called the Slay Summit, which was the catalyst to The Fierce Files. So every now and then, I will share with you our most popular interviews from that summit. So listen in as I share with you one of our most requested. I'm excited every time I introduce to you some of these powerful women that I am blessed to get to work with and be with and meet along the way. And today, this woman is no exception. So her name is Maria Alston. Now, Karen is an entrepreneur. She's a female founder. She's a brand expert. She's a woman's leadership advocate and an authenticity guru. Now, all on top of all of that, she also is the founder, the CEO of Alston Marketing Group, which is now known as AM+G Marketing Communications, right? But if that wasn't enough, Karen founded the innovative women's empowerment and professional educational leadership development platform, did you get all that, called the Spectrum Circle. So this woman, of course, has won so many awards and sat on panels. I'm just going to name a few. So she has been on a panel of experts for the Annenberg Center. She has been named by Copa Style magazine. Now, in their inaugural issue, she was named Women of the Year. Plus, she's been or joined a leadership network called the American Enterprise Institute. She's been on the Today Show. I could go on and on and on. This woman is yummy, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her. So welcome, Miss Karen.
Welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Yay, excited to have you and excited for you to share some of your gems. So if you don't have a pen, y'all, you better go grab one because I already know this woman's going to drop some knowledge on you. So Karen, tell us, you could have stopped with one business, and you have more than one business. You sit on boards, you sit on committees, and I know you are coming back and forth at Harvard now. So tell us why you do what you do and what inspires you to continue to go after your more.
So my more is defined by helping people to be the best person they can be. And as I was growing as a woman, I saw that a lot of women based success on things that weren't important. We looked at money and power as success. And success is honestly being the best person you can be and not chasing money or dollars, but chasing the ability to be your authentic self and to live life freely as your authentic self.
That's good. We're going to stop here for a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for more. Are you ready to live in the true power of your gifts and talents and get paid for it? Hi, this is Nicole Roberts-Jones, and I'm inviting you to join me in a city near you for the Find Your Fierce Experience. Go to findyourfierceexperience.com to learn more. Listen, your fierce is the magic formula that so many successful, focused women just like you spin your wheels seeking, but sadly never find. So you get burned out and give up on the possibility of creating a business and a life that you actually love. But at the 4-hour workshop I'm sharing with you during the Find Your Fierce Experience, you will find the insight and action steps designed to give you everything you need to bankroll your brilliance. So go to findyourfierceexperience.com and see what city near you I'm coming to and grab your seat. I can't wait. An afternoon with me and you of me giving you all you need to bankroll your brilliance. See you there. Were you always living in this way, or did you have like an epiphany moment that shifted everything?
Not at all. I had an epiphany moment. I was pretty traditional and chasing titles and trying to make my way up the corporate ladder and be accepted into certain groups or be a part of this clique or a part of this crew or
Right, and I got to stop you right here because somebody's listening is probably saying, oh, my gosh, she's talking. That's exactly who I was. Or you're there now, and you feel like, oh my God, how can I let go of all of this prestige, the title, the clique, the corner office, and you have this rumble in you. So I love you saying this. I just wanted the women that are already feeling like you're stepping on their toes 2 minutes in to go into the Facebook group and out yourself. It's a safe space, and here's the thing. You are in a place that's going to help you move out of the perception, the land of perception, as my girlfriend Monica calls it, right? So sorry, Karen, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I also, in that process, I was looking in the mirror and looking at the people around me, asking myself who was really there for me and who was there for who they thought I was, or the box I was placing myself in, or the job I had, or the title I had at the company I worked for. And I wanted people around me who loved me for me. So one of the things I have recently done in the past maybe 8 months is I try to just lead by being Karen. Not my resume, not my bio, just Karen. And I live in a city. I live in Washington, D.C., which is a city based on who you are and who you work for. And it is a challenge to show up every day and just be Karen and not try to be my resume, my title, who I am, where I went to school, all of that, but to just be me. And I continuously pray and ask God in the universe to send me the right people who are supposed to be in my life to help me get to the goals I'm trying to achieve. And it's hard, especially living in Washington, where people are, who are you, what do you do, who do you know, et cetera, et cetera.
But have you found that that's shifted even how people deal with you now that you don't care about any of that anymore?
Yes, it has. So sometimes if I'm out sitting somewhere and I just say, hey, I'm Karen, then if I don't answer a lot of the probing questions or if I don't answer correctly, then people assume, oh, I don't need to know this person. And I get it. We're all in a spirit of networking or trying to figure out who people are. So I understand where they're coming from, but it gives me some time to pay attention to what their intentions are. Now, if we're at a networking event, then I fully expect that. But if I'm just sitting at a bar having a glass of wine, I just want to be Karen.
Right. And even at a networking event, what's so interesting to me is even at a networking event, and I get you're supposed to say your title, but if I say I'm a CEO, nobody knows what the heck I do. So by me saying I'm a CEO or that this is my third business, or that still doesn't tell you what transformation I can help you get to, right? Which is the purpose of being at a networking event. And so it's interesting how people fall so much on their bio when your bio's over. You did all that stuff already. It's done, right? It's like, what happened to that next version of you that you're at this networking event for? Can I meet her, please? Right?
Yes, exactly. And like you said, when you say you're a CEO, no one knows what you're CEO of. And then let's talk about assumptions and judgment. So if you meet a woman of color who says she's a CEO, you automatically assume, well, she's probably not the CEO of IBM, or she's probably not the CEO of Wells Fargo. So you start to make a decision at that moment. Do you need to know who I am and what I do, or do you even care?
Right. And even if I said the name of my company, nobody still would know what that is, Right, so I love that you've shifted that, especially in a place that is it could probably tear your business apart, right?
Yeah.
Without
definitely.
you fully leaning into your resume.
Exactly. But I'm really fortunate and really blessed that I have built something that people seek me out. And like I said, I have faith that people will seek me out. And the doors that I ask, and I know how to ask for doors to be open. So sometimes you just have to ask. You just have to say, hey, can you invite me to this networking event, or can you invite me to this event? I don't need to do anything else but open the door. I can sell myself when I get there.
And even when you think about it, the fact that you can ask that question, that's based on a relationship you've built with that person over time, and it's not based on what you do, it's based on who you be.
Right, which is why it's so critical and so important to be your authentic self. But that's not what we're taught. And especially as people of color, we're taught to be one way in corporate America and one way at home. So it's really hard to let go of those masks and just be yourself. It's really hard. It's not easy. It's taken me a while to get to this place.
Right. And even, what's interesting, too, is even if I use my own journey for an example, when I worked in entertainment, I had all these yummy titles, and I worked on all these great shows, and then I shifted that to want to do this. When I keep saying this,
and I know I've been saying that in a lot of interviews, but keep in mind, when I shifted in 1993, I didn't fully shift and quit until 1996. It took me 3 years to fully shift into this, but there was no such thing as a coach when I shifted. I didn't know what to call this thing, you know, and people kept going, you left what? And you doing what now? And people thought I was crazy. People really thought I was crazy, and I know they did.
The biggest thing is it's unfamiliar, and, you know, as a person of color who's a descendant of slaves, you know, having a good job, you know, whether that job is working for the government or the post office or your good, comfortable job, it's hard to understand why anyone would leave that to go start their own business. So it's just unfamiliar. It feels awkward. It feels different. So people don't know how to react to it. And then also they have fear. You know, they're afraid for you that if you quit this really good job that you have, that somehow you're not going to be able to take care of yourself, or you're going to suffer, or, you know, you won't be able to get another job like the job you have.
That's so good. And I love that, you know, you just started out of the gate with your big, bold move, because saying yes to you was a big, bold move in an industry where, you know, like you said, it could have been scary, it could have been shattering for your business, but you still authentically knew, I've got to be Karen. And I love watching you on social media that your hashtag is always being Karen. I love that. Love it.
Thank you. And it's so freeing. People don't understand that hashtag being Karen Alston is so freeing because it just allows me to be myself. So if I'm silly that day, if I'm serious that day, if I'm introspective, whatever I'm going through or sharing or whatever knowledge that I want to impart, I'm sharing who I am and what I'm dealing with at that moment or time or place or space. But I want to go back. You asked me what was the catalyst for my change and what was the catalyst that put me on this path. So about 5 years ago, I had a really horrible bicycle accident and fell and had to have 6 months of rehab. And I remember I was in ICU for a couple of days, and the doctor said to my parents that he didn't know if I was going to look the same, you know, that there was a chance that my face was going to be deformed from falling on my face. So in that moment, as I'm hearing this, in that moment, I started praying and talking to God. And I said to God that if he would heal me through this process and give me the strength to face all of the things I had to face in the healing process, that I would grow and be the best woman I could be, that I would face my own fears and be the best woman I could be. And that was my conversation with God at that moment. So
let me ask you, before you go deep into, but let me ask you, so before that, just so everyone that is getting to know Karen understands where you were in your business, so for you to say that and say, listen, I'm putting everything on the table, or whoever you want me to be from this point forward, what all did you have to let go of to actually say that?
So I had to let go of money and clients. My office space at the time, I had 4 employees working for me that were full-time employees at the time. And I remember the first day I came home from the hospital, I had a big campaign I was doing, and my client called to curse at me because she was worried about some ads that weren't going to run. And I said to her, I said, you know, I just came home from the hospital. The advertiser is a dear friend who knows me and knows, you know, has probably heard what I'm going through. And she couldn't hear that. All she heard was, are my ads going to run? She didn't care that I had almost died. She didn't care that I was in trauma. She cared about her job and her ads running. And I should tell you, her ads ran just the way they were supposed to. So as the client was cussing me out on the phone and my mother was looking at me like, I'm about to hang this phone up, you just got home from the hospital, I knew in that moment that I was changing. Like I knew exactly in that moment that I was going to change and make a shift. And that in chasing money and chasing dollars, I was compromising who I was. And so when I got off the phone.
Wait, hold on, because that's good. And chasing money and chasing dollars, you were compromising yourself. And I got to stop right there because so many of you that are here with us, you know, many of you are in that place right now. And chasing money and chasing dollars, you are compromising who you are to do this thing or be this thing. Can't go past that, Karen, because that's good. And somebody needs to just have that awakening today. Because I don't think there's no coincidence. You know, with each woman that I asked, there's some people I asked to be enslaved, some of that couldn't do it. So I'm clear that whoever said yes is meant to be here. And I'm clear whoever is listening, you're meant to hear this message. So whatever that means for you, I want you to get that no amount of money is bigger than who you are. And it's interesting, today at church, I'm trying to find this quote. My pastor said, the value of life is not in its duration, but in its donation. So it's not about how much you acquire and how much you do and how much you be, but how much are you making a contribution? So that's so big. And then you shifting that, Karen, and I'm going to acknowledge you, too, because, you could have been like, ooh, I need to hurry up and get better because I got to get these clients. You could have still been the same Karen. You could have still made the same choices because that's a hard shift to make.
It's a very hard shift. It's a very hard shift. But I was also worried, as a woman, to have that fear, am I going to look the same? Am I going to be deformed for the rest of my life? So that was also a big part of this. Like, okay, God, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. Can you make sure that my body is the same as it was before my accident? And after six months of rehab, everything is back to normal. So, it was, I just decided to keep my promise, and to just be the best person I could be.
And isn't it freeing to just be you without apology? Yes. Ooh, sorry.
Oh, it is absolutely amazing. And because of that, and I tell people this when I speak, I share this when I do interviews like this one, I share this, because of those changes I made, God opened so many doors for me. I wouldn't have been able to go to Harvard Business School. I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the interviews I do or the speeches that I give, because in my past, I was trying to live up to an expectation I had placed on myself that was completely unrealistic and wrong.
That's good. That's good. So many of us, me included, because I know my first career, now don't get me wrong, Hollywood is great. I still miss the parties. I'm not going to perpetrate, right? But I realized I had become a woman that I didn't even know. I had become this person that everybody else said, oh, Nicole, you should be in Hollywood. So I said, okay. I had never made a decision for myself until I, too, had a catalyst moment that woke me up. And so, look, I'm excited about this conversation. I'm over here writing notes. So this is so good that to not only say yes to it, but in the face of fear, in the face of unknowing, because that is what faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So you didn't know letting go of these clients. You didn't even know laying and healing that you were going to even get your whole self back. So I'm sure thoughts are going through your head, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to, be able to live if I'm shifting all of this, and I may be shifting? But I love that you didn't let any of that hold you back.
No, I didn't. So I mean, I had moments, and I cried so much in the healing process. To be honest, the rehab process was probably one of the most painful things I've ever been through. And I cried so much, you just get tired of crying, and you're like, okay, God, I just have to be as strong as I can be to handle what's coming. So it's such it's such a beautiful, freeing moment to be in this space and to look at people and know this person really wasn't in my corner. They weren't really my friend. They were only here for X, Y, and Z. And it allowed me to be on the path that I'm on, and I'm so thankful for the path that I'm on, because I'm the best person I've ever been.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting excited for you, because I know I've been on that path too, and it's interesting how just about every woman that I've had conversations with, we've all had this moment where everything had to shift. And I know the people that I've had to let go of, God has replaced, and they're better, dare I say. Not that I've compared, but when I look at some of the relationships I've had to let go of, and it's painful, especially when you have history with people, and you realize that they can't go where you're trying to go. Not that everybody's not a bad person, they just aren't ready. So in order for you to elevate who you be, you've got to let some things go or to hold you back.
Exactly. And they're not there. Most people are still in, the hamsters on the wheel. They're chasing money and success because that's what's marketed to them. That's what's shown to them. Being success. Being successful means you wear all designer clothes and you have this big job and this big title, and that's you've achieved the American dream.
Right.
But what's the price
quote
you paid
unquote
for
American
it?
Dream? Right.
Right. The quote unquote American dream, and what's the price that you paid for it? So there's nothing wrong with being successful. There's nothing wrong with having money. Having money is a beautiful thing. But being able to be true to yourself and still have money is even better.
Yes. I love that. So, you've given us so much. Look, what's so funny? I forget that I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and so I sit and I start listening as a student. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be taking notes so I can repeat. Girl, I barely took notes because I was all in your story. So the thing I love the most, and I love how authentic you were quickly. About that moment when you had that accident 5 years ago, how everything shifted, and you had a decision to make, and you were uberly successful already, right? And so for you in that moment to shift it all meant that you had to risk it all to gain it all. And now that you're on this other side, just looking at all that you've gained is amazing because you.
Yeah, I realized that, and I don't talk about it probably the way that I should talk about it, of just my level of growth over the past 5 years and how much I'm able to see and have clarity of what happiness and success looks like. And I have friends that are very, very, very successful, and they, work 9 months out of the year or spend time with their children or families, or they've created a life for themselves that allows them to stay true to their values and still have the money or the success. And I've watched those paths, and then I've watched people who just chase dollars, and you've seen it, they're miserable. They're absolutely miserable, and the money doesn't bring happiness, and that was a lesson I'm thankful that I learned.
Right, and so often, I love that you said create a life where you stay true to your values. And what happens, and I know this is what happened to me, I never stopped long enough to know what the heck my values were. So I was creating a life that looked good on paper, but it didn't feel good to me. So I had the bomb.com resume, but none of that helped me feel good or allow me to have meaning or fulfillment. Right.
And we do that. We do that when we step out the door and look like $1 million, but we feel horrible on the inside, or we can't share, or we don't feel safe and comfortable to share that I had a bad day, or this is what happened to me. We just show up and have to say everything is perfect. And that's why I created the Spectrum Circle. I knew everyone wasn't where I was, but I was trying to create environments and spaces and places for women to be able to let some of those guards down, to be true to who they are.
And tell the ladies that are listening more about the Spectrum Circle, since you just brought it up. Tell us more about it.
So it's it's my passion, it's my baby, there's no question about it. When I came up with the idea, I thought I would have 1 or 2 events and I'd be happy, that I could stop and say, okay, I did something good, and I could just sort of check it off and move on to the next project. But I realized so many women needed safe spaces and needed tribes to build, to network, to make friends, to find mentors, to find women that they could connect with. And I had no idea that I was creating a platform for women to connect. I just thought I was doing 1 or 2 events. And now I can look back after 3 years and see how it's growing. I have a lot of millennials who follow me who need mentors. They need guidance. And, my generation, we grew up with what our parents said success looks like. This next generation, they have grown up with success being what they see on social media and what they see on television. So they need women to help.
I call them microwave generation because they want it now. They want it quick. I'm like,
Right. They don't understand that you don't become senior executive vice president at 24. That's not normal.
Right.
So, they need guidance. They need role models. They need mentors, and they need spaces to learn and understand what it takes to navigate not just your career, but your family, your life, everything. Because it's at 20, you don't understand that it's a short ride to 70 or 80. It's not as long as you think it is. But they don't understand that.
And imagine, even when I think back to when I was 20, because I started this work in 1993 at 23 years old. When I think about who I was then and looking at 23-year-olds now, it's so nowhere near the same. And just knowing the space that, when I look at my nieces and nephews who are in their, late teens, early 20s, and what could be possible for them if they knew now what I knew then. And I just so happen to have a mentor then. And as I got older, I've had coaches and things like that. So I love the space you're creating for women. And I love that, this actually happened after your shift, and it became one of the new things you were committed to in your shift to being instead of doing, right? So if you had to give women 3 strategies, 3 steps that they could take to make this shift for their own self into, this whole new way of being who you are unapologetically, what are the 3 things that you would recommend they need to do?
Number 1 is to write a list of the things they're passionate about. What gives them purpose, and can they identify their purpose? Because a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. They take on what their parents told them or what their grandparents told them, but they don't know what their it is. So the first thing is to find your passion, find your purpose. The second thing is to take a look at the people in your inner circle, in your front row, people that you call close friends, and ask yourself if those people are truly friends or if they're there because you represent something to them. And then the third thing would be to look in the mirror and to look at themselves and ask themselves if they are helping or harming who they truly are. If the 8-year-old version of yourself would say, you're being true to who I am, or you're lying to the world about who you are. And those are tough things to do. Those are tough things to do. They're not easy. So they're not something you do overnight. It takes time to get to that level of clarity. So you can start to look. And then there are people, like you said, there are people who have been in your life, relationships that have been in your life 30, 40 years. It's not to cut people out. It's just to figure out this person is in a space that I don't want to be in. It's like having a friend that likes to go to the club every Friday night and hang out till it closes. At some point, you may have grown out of doing that, right? But this particular friend still wants to go to the club and party every night till it closes. Doesn't mean you don't love that person. It just means you find another way to have fun with that person. You can say, hey, let's go for a walk on Sunday morning, or hey, let's go see a movie, but I don't want to go to the club and hang out. And it doesn't make me less valuable or you more valuable. It just means that we're on 2 different paths.
Exactly. And look, it doesn't mean just because I don't want to go every Friday, it doesn't mean that one Friday I might say, girl, today I think I might want to go, Exactly. And it's being open and not judgmental and just knowing that you're shifting, right? So I love that. Right. I love it.
And that's the hard part, is that we get judgmental. And even for us, like even for myself, I have to stop and say, okay, this person just isn't at this level of clarity. And it's not that anyone is good or bad. They're just not at this level of clarity. And so
and they
you
can
just love
there.
the person for where they are, right?
And it's one thing if they're talking badly about your level of clarity. It's one thing if they don't get it, and they're, I always say it's either a deposit or withdrawal. If they're making withdrawals and making you feel bad because you have a level of clarity or because you're trying to improve yourself, understand that sometimes what happens is you're actually rumbling up what their next level is in them. You're not doing it on purpose. You're trying to get to your next, right? But you can't help it when you're doing better. Like when you have friends around you that are doing better, it causes everyone to shift. And some people will be mad because they're not ready. Those are the people that I call haters, and they're not trying to be a hater. They're not doing it on purpose, but they're not ready. And so they say things to you like, oh, who do you think you are? Oh, did you forget where you came from? No, I haven't.
Exactly.
But I'm moving to my next level. Thank you. And those are the people that sometimes you might have to let go for a minute. And I found that most people, not everybody, most people will circle back around. They just aren't ready in that moment. And so you don't have to close the door all the way. But there are some people, when you got to close the door all the way.
Sadly, that's true, yeah. And there have definitely been people I had to close the door all the way on.
Yes, yeah, me too. And you know the difference. So listen, Karen, you have given us so much. So I'm going to try to go over the notes that I horribly wrote because I forgot I was supposed to be taking notes. I was all into it and just taking it in, right? And so I love that you just hit it out of the gate. Success is not chasing money. It's chasing who you are. So good. You shared your catalyst moment and really share with us that moment that you had to make a choice. You could continue to be Karen as you were, successful, doing great things, making great money, or you could be all of who you were meant to be, right? All of who God was calling you to be and really be you. And you didn't know on the other side of that there was more money, more opportunity, more. And so I love that you shared that journey with us. You talked about creating a life that really is about your values. Right? And those of you that didn't keep up with notes, I'm repeat this for you, right? I'm repeating it for me, but I'm repeating it for you too. And I love that one of the things you're committed to is creating safe spaces for women. Now, Again, you shared so much yummy insight. And so, I mean, you went authentic and transparent. And I'm going to tell you, transparency is powerful. That's why Oprah is who she is, because she was willing to tell us her mess and share the message all in the same show. And that's really what you just did in this interview.
Thank you. That makes me feel so good.
Oh, my God, it's good. And I know if we could keep going, because both of us can talk. So it's the only reason I'm cutting it off is because, of time. But, if you could recommend a book, if there was one book you could tell the ladies to pick up, what would you recommend and why?
That's hard to say one book, but what I do enjoy.
Okay, two.
That's hard. I can't narrow it down to one. And I have to be honest and say that I read all the time, so it would be hard to say one or two. But what I do is I pick up biographies. I learn a lot from biographies, of reading about people and what they have been through. And the best biographies are the ones who tell the truth of the mistakes that they've made, the good decisions they've made, the bad decisions they've made, and how it impacted them. And that's where I learned from. So I read all of the time, and if you want, I can sit and think about it and put together a list of 4 or 5 books that I really, really enjoy and recommend, so that way you can just post it in the group. Yeah.
That would be great. Perfect. And then if there's one of your favorite biographies, that would be yummy, too, in that group.
Yep, I will definitely do that.
Yeah,
I will definitely do that.
Karen.
But thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you for sharing and being authentic and true, and for being Karen Alston. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Fierce Files. Now, I want you to walk away from these episodes with value, so grab your pen and answer either one or all 3 of these questions. Number 1, what was your greatest takeaway? Number 2, what would you do differently as a result of what you heard? So you may have heard something you've already heard before, or you may have learned something new. Either way, don't take the insight that was shared with you for granted. So commit to doing one thing different because of what you heard. Number 3, what was confirmation for you? What did you hear that confirmed you're on the right path? See, I want you to take a moment and celebrate you. Too often in our journey, we focus on what we're not doing and we forget to celebrate what we are doing. So what was something that showed you that you're headed in the right direction? Now, I want you to share your answers. Share your answer to either number 1, what was your greatest takeaway? Number 2, what would you do different? Or number 3, what was confirmation for you? And share it in our Facebook community. So go to findyourfiercemovement.com and use the hashtag FierceFiles. Now, each experience we encourage, support, and celebrate as a community. It allows us to expand in possibility and wisdom, in encouragement and love. Now, we've invited you into our community to deepen our journey with being the answer someone needs and in being committed to your next level. So until the next time, be extraordinary, be unapologetic, be bodaciously you, go and be fierce.